In tonight's Big Story Breakdown, a closer look at the state of education. The clock is ticking for the legislature to decide if it's going to reject the proposed social studies standards from the State Department of Education. As Fox 25's Capitol reporter Paige Taylor explains, Democrats in both chambers feel the standards are biased and developmentally inappropriate.
We have discussed them, and there are continuing to be conversations. We still have some time if we were to do something.
We just had the discussion recently with our caucus. There is not an overwhelming response of people that want to reject these standards.
House and Senate leadership not giving any indicators last week that Republican lawmakers are going to reject the social studies standards that have been presented to them for Oklahoma students in kindergarten through 12th grade. But that's exactly what their Democrat colleagues are pressing for. Both Senate Minority Leader Julia Kurt and House Minority Leader Cindy Munson filed joint resolutions in late March to reject the standards.
And right now, the state superintendent is not focused on improving education outcomes or increasing funding for our public schools. Instead, he's solely focused on boosting his own partisan political agenda with these social studies standards.
Senate Democrats providing a list of specific concerns within the standards, like having kindergartners identify the principles of economic systems and develop an understanding of the benefits of a market system in local, national, and global settings.
Asking 5-year-olds to analyze an abstract concept like the economy and using terminology that's very complex, this is what we're going to be asking teachers to prepare.
The governor says it's up to the legislature to make a decision on the standards, but he is concerned with Board of Education members voting on something they weren't originally shown.
The thing that concerned me was the mechanics, how it was done. So it's been showed to me from the board members that they were emailed a copy of those standards, but then there was a different standard that was sitting on the desk that they actually voted on.
Paige Taylor, Fox 25 News.
Back in December, the State Department of Education publicly released the revised social studies standards. The finalized draft included a Bible curriculum, and seated first graders will be taught the purpose and meaning of the Pledge of Allegiance and the significance of the phrase under God, as well as identify stories from ancient texts like the Ten Commandments. The themes of biblical references and understanding continue all the way through high school level.
In these standards, they champion the guidance that the Bible gave throughout American history. As we rolled out our Bible initiatives earlier in the year, this strengthens them by providing over 50 references to the Bible and Christianity.
In this version, students would also be expected to describe how the Constitution of the United States was influenced by religion and the Bible. Now, prior to the standards release, the Social Studies Standards Committee spent months working to make revisions. Back in September, committee sources told us when they arrived at their meeting, they thought they were going to discuss a final review. However, they were told they were presented with a new drafted set of standards developed by an executive team that sparked some concerns. One source questioned the qualifications of those who compiled the new draft standards and whether most Oklahomans would even approve of them. Now, lawmakers have a looming deadline ahead of them to decide whether to approve or deny the social studies standards. They have until May 1st. If they decide to do nothing, these standards will automatically take effect. And we told you Democrats filed joint resolutions hoping to keep the standards from moving forward, but a joint resolution like a bill has to be approved by both chambers and would have to start moving through the process no later than Monday to meet the deadline. So where do Oklahomans stand on the standards? Earlier this year, the American Historical Association asked the community to participate in a review of this drafted version. They found among surveyors, many of them agreed the draft included good coverage of Native American history and clear guidance to prepare newer teachers, but some agreed there was insufficient attention to global perspectives and oversimplified and distorted descriptions of religious life. Over the last few years, there have been several efforts to control the reading materials kids can access, and now at least 20 independent bookstores are coming together to form the Oklahoma Independent Bookstore Association. Fox 25's Grant Palmer joining us live outside of one of those bookstores. Grant, why did the stores decide to band together now?
Adam, the bookstore owners I spoke with, including the owner of Best of Books here in Edmond, tell me they want to collaborate with and support each other, especially when certain books are under threat. With Independent Bookstore Day approaching Saturday, April 26th, local bookstores are introducing the Oklahoma Independent Bookstore Association. The group is co-founded by Joe Height, owner of Best of Books in Edmond, who says independent bookstores needed to organize.
I think we have to think about ourselves as being independent bookstores, but also a collaborative group that can come together as a group to educate, to inform, and to support each other.
Height says with attempts to ban books here in Oklahoma like Kite Runner, now is a great time to form a group like the Oklahoma Independent Bookstore Association.
We can collaborate together when we have governments that try to ban books. In this city alone, the state education department tried to ban the Kite Runner and the Glass Castle from Edmond high schools, Edmond public high schools.
Not too far away from Best of Books is Bluebird Books, which is also part of the association. Their owner tells me independent bookstores don't see each other as competition, so the move to form the group made sense.
I thought it was just a natural way for us to begin to kind of join forces and be able to talk about issues that are important to us, or even legislative issues, or to just to market, like we have our Independent Bookstore Day coming up this Saturday.
Although Amazon and Barnes & Noble are also offering sales this week, Dickinson Black says shopping at those places just isn't the same.
I think there's a magic when you walk into an independent bookstore. It's not a cookie cutter version of anything you've seen anywhere before. They're all individual with their own personalities and their own focuses.
Height says the number of independent bookstores have been growing across Oklahoma, and those who haven't yet joined the association are invited to. Reporting live, Grant Palmer, Fox 25 News.
Thank you, Grant. And federal funding for schools could be impacted by a new mandate. State Superintendent Ryan Walters announced this week he's about to start cracking down on districts following DEI guidelines. He says OSDE will start withholding federal funding from districts that don't sign the required federal Title VI assurance, which confirms schools will not engage in DEI practices. According to the White House, it's also designed to ensure students won't be denied opportunities because of their race. Walters says the funding freeze goes into effect this Friday.
The students are going to absolutely have all the options to have a great education system. The reality is it will be their public school that failed them if they simply don't comply with an executive order from the president. What the president is trying to do is protect those students, protect those families to get a great education. Schools need to be complying with this. They need to be protecting these kids against woke ideologies and giving them a great education. And again, empowering them through education.
According to the state superintendent, there are dozens of districts that are not in compliance with the executive order. As your big story breakdown, you can learn more about the new Independent Bookstore Association and the proposed social studies standards on OKCFox.com. Plus, watch all of our previous big story breakdowns on our YouTube page. Scan the QR code, on your screen, or search OKC Fox.